Hello and welcome to another episode of Inside the Message. And we're back. We're so glad to be back with you this Wednesday evening, and we're excited that you're hanging out with us too after the show tonight, after this episode. Please join us on our Zoom session. We're always glad to have conversation. It's a great place for us to gather in community. And if you're not familiar with how to get there, just go to our website, truethought.org. That's truethought.org. And just join our Inner Circle mailing list. And we send out an email every week with instructions on how to join us on the Zoom session and also how to find us here on ttsc.tv. Okay, I'm Brother T, and this is my beautiful wife, Reverend A. And what we do here at Inside the Message is really just kind of dig into the message that we do, an inspirational message each Sunday. You'll find it on ttsc.tv. And one week she might speak, the next week I might speak. But what we're doing is sharing with you the True Thought principles of our ministry, True Thought. And you can find us at truethought.org. And today we're going to be talking about the message last Sunday, just this past Sunday, right? Which was the keys to the kingdom. And so I'm on the spot. She's going to interview me. I think that's what we're going to do today.
That's what, yeah. That's the way.
Okay, let's go.
That's the way we usually do it. But you're on a roll.
I'm on a roll.
You could interview yourself.
I could. All I need is a mirror. Oh, I have one.
Oh, yeah.
The world is a mirror.
Yeah. So anyway, welcome everyone. We're so very glad that you've decided to join us. Brother T gave a message which premiered this past Sunday, and it was called Keys to the Kingdom. I think that the Keys to the Kingdom is a series of teaching that we've taught in every community that we've been in. Truly. And so it's one of the cornerstone teachings that we offer. It does come from the Way of Mastery, which is channeled work by Jeshua ben Joseph, and or also known as Jesus. And so we consider it to be a beautiful book that companions A Course in Miracles and really sets kind of what I would say the record straight as far as what we've been taught about the life and the teachings of Jesus. And so, so the Keys to the Kingdom, we've been at True Thought spiritual community we were talking about this the other day, for about 9 months. So we gave our first message in July of 2020. And really what we've done since then is provided the building blocks of True Thought teaching. And we began with True Thought principles. We've talked about humility and willingness and commitment. And we've done a series on forgiveness. And so this is really the second kind of series that we've done in this short time. And I believe that we've laid the foundation in order to do this. What foundational principles do you think are important for understanding the keys to the kingdom, or create the foundation for teaching?
I think the talk that I did on Sunday really was the foundational teaching to kind of set the tone for what we're teaching here at True Thought. And so if this is your first episode with us, or that was your first video that you've watched with us, I'm excited because I felt like I wanted to lay a foundation. And we had a couple of new people in the community last week. We've had a couple of new people subscribe to our channel. And I just wanted to lay a little bit of a foundation so that we could build off of that. So I'm just going to sidestep the question, because if you're really curious about that, go back and watch the inspirational message, Keys to the Kingdom. But I'd like to kind of go beyond the foundation. I guess the primary thing is that we have a split mind. We're not conscious of that. And once we become conscious that there's two thought systems and it's a binary system, and that we're the ones choosing everything we're experiencing, that God did not create this experience. We created this experience for ourselves. But there is some other things that are involved in that we'll explore as we move forward in our teaching and in our inspirational messages. And we'll be offering some classes and some things about getting deeper into that. But I think those are the main things. The main takeaway for me is that our thoughts are things, and what we believe, okay, and a belief is just a thought that we continue to hold on to and repeat again and again begins to be reflected as our experience, which validates the belief. So it's a circuitous system, and we can get trapped in it because we have a certain belief about things, and the world shows us that back, and it's just like, and we say, "Oh, see, I was right about that." So that's kind of the ego's game, right? The other side of that, a foundational understanding, is that there is the system of truth, and only the truth is true. And what is the truth? The truth is that we're creating our experience with our thinking, and that our mind is split. And so once we can get over to the other side, so to speak, in our awareness, we're just shifting our awareness to a different thought system. And that requires us to go from head to heart, or combining our head and heart. We call that wholeheartedness. But now we're instead of using the intellect of the ego, we're listening to the wisdom of the heart. And then we begin to express from that mind, from that place of understanding and knowing of ourselves.
And so what is the benefit of shifting from the head to the heart, or the merging of mind and heart and wholeheartedness? What does that do for us?
Well, in a short sentence, we move from sin and sickness and death to life everlasting.
So is that what the kingdom is?
Yeah. The kingdom is moving beyond death, moving out of the realm of sin and sickness and death, those made up ideas, which are just a construct of illusion, and back into the reality that God created us to be. We are as God created us to be. We are what God created us to be, and we are where God created us to be, right? And that is the kingdom of heaven.
Right. And so where is this kingdom?
It's where we are. Wherever we are is the kingdom of heaven. But if we've covered it over with false concepts, false ideas, and false being, a false presence, then we aren't experiencing it. And we clearly are not experiencing it.
So these keys assist us in shifting from one thought system to another thought system?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you experience, and I would say those who join us for our conversation later, think about this for yourself. What does living in heaven mean, feel like, and how is it different than perhaps how you experienced life before?
Well, honestly, I mean,
Yes.
living with you every day, being in relationship, you see, is the first step of awakening the mind. And we have a relationship that was built on when we first got together. We said we made the commitment because we understood these true thought principles. Both of us had a background in spiritual pathway, and when we came together, we said, okay, this is a new relationship for both of us, and so let's approach this from the perspective of a holy relationship. Okay, so a holy relationship is really the practice that we involve ourselves in every relationship. It's knowing that God created us in relationship, and being in relationship the way God created relationship is to be joined in heart and mind, right? In the way we believe and think and act and be and express. So with that being said, it's just as simple as turning within, taking a good deep breath and turning within and joining with the heart and mind of your higher self at the center of your being, and then going out with whoever you're with, in relationship with, in form, and allowing that wisdom, that vibration of love, that self to be expressed with whoever you're with.
So we talk a lot about that we're walking each other, we're walking arm in arm through heaven together.
Yeah, walking through the kingdom of heaven.
The kingdom of heaven,
because
today.
we make it what it is. All of us do. We get to make it what it is. Whoa, well, Brother T, what about the economy, and what about COVID and all those? Yeah, we created those things too. Why do we create those things? Well, we created those things so that we could begin to see that we need to pull back from my full-on commitment to the illusion of the world, because we can see that it's crumbling, that it's falling apart.
Right. And so what we teach here is that truly our only function and our only purpose for this experience is to remember this kingdom, the kingdom of heaven. And it is said, that the kingdom of heaven, and this is attributed to Jesus, that the kingdom of heaven is within you. And what we teach is that the word within is unnecessary, that the kingdom of heaven is you. And so when we return to our divine identity, we align in such a way that we can experience something very different from the world that we've made, from the cloudedness of our grievances and our separated state of being, to a state of unified thought system, to a state of oneness, to a state of being in holy relationship with one another. And so that is the experience of heaven. And heaven, I like to describe as the realm of ever expanding good, or of the consciousness of love, of being in the flow of a benevolent universe.
Of being joined with everything, being in
a web of
union
relationship,
with web of relationship with all that is.
Yeah, and so that's really, what we're talking about. And in your message on Sunday, which I do agree with you, you gave a really great foundation. It's a very informative, solid teaching, and I really felt grateful. I listened to it again today for the recording of this, and listened to it on Sunday as well. And so it's just packed with a whole lot of information. No, it's wonderful. But one of the things, I said all that, and then I forgot my question. And so, here it is. The idea that we have made a world based upon this separated thought system, this thought system of separation, where you list sin, sickness, and death, and that you likened it or used an illustration of like being in prison. And these keys then become the keys that we use to free ourselves. Do you want to share a little bit more about that?
Well, it's really the perfect metaphor, because it's true. We've imprisoned ourselves in our mind in a thought system of fear and guilt, and the result of that, the effect, that's the cause, right? We said thoughts are things. We started out with that, and that the world is reflective. So we operate in fear. We experience things to be afraid of, and so we built a house of horrors for ourselves. And sin and sickness and death are a result of that, right? And so we have the keys in our hand, and we're walking around going, I just wish I want to get out of this. I want to get out of this. I want to get out of this. But we've got the keys literally in our hand, right? And when somebody says, oh, what's that you got in your hand, right? The door's right there. That's our brother Jesus. I mean, that's what he did, really. He shared with us, here's the pathway. Here's where the door is. And so he comes to us yet again in the way of mastery, and shares with us these 4 keys to the kingdom. And these are disciplines, if you want to call it or keys to the jailhouse we put ourselves in. But it's really a perfect metaphor, because when we are no longer experiencing fear and guilt, the only thing that's remaining to experience is love and peace and joy and abundance. And we could say that's the kingdom of heaven, because you see, we're creating our experience, so we could be walking through, the most magnificent, opulent, castle in the universe. But if we've got blindfolds on and earplugs in, and we're groping around in the dark, we have no clue, where we are. We're giving everything all the meaning that it has, and we're just groping around in this universe that we've created that's blocking our vision and our ability to hear. And when I say hear, it's the inner guidance, the inner voice, right? So we can take back our power. We can take off the mask. We can take off the blindfold, and we can take out the earplugs, and we can begin to see and listen in a new way. And as we begin to see and listen in a new way, we join in spirit, and now that becomes the new self. I even used the term the new covenant.
Yes, you did.
Right? That we make a covenant with ourself, capital S, self, to allow that self, the voice of love, wisdom, guidance, to be expressed as us. So we kind of make space to allow that self to be expressed. And we all have all these attributes, like sometimes I can be the controller, sometimes I can be the protector, sometimes I could be, the whatever I need to be in that moment, I'm expressing as a certain attribute of the personality ego self, right? I can also move all of those aspects off to the side and allow that inner voice, which is me, right? It just feels separate initially, but to allow that inner voice of love to be the guide initially, and then eventually to be expressed as me, because it is me.
Right, right, beautiful. So we hold the keys ourselves. This is a journey of self-discovery, of self-mastery.
Very much so.
And it is a relinquishment of looking to the world than to be, quote unquote, our savior or to set us free. And so this really correlates very nicely. We also do a daily podcast of A Course in Miracles
we do
lessons. And today's lesson actually is, that my salvation comes from me, and your salvation comes from you. And yes, we are in relationship, and yet we each hold the key. And so that's what these keys to the kingdom represent. An emancipation from a self-imposed prison, a self-imposed thought system that seems so very solid and so very real. When we rattle off, sin, sickness, and death, sometimes I think that it can sound really, callous or frivolous, like, sin, sickness, and death. Well, those are the three categories that we almost all prayer requests fall into, and every one of them is a symptom of the thought system of separation and fear.
Yeah.
And so really, we've been talking about learning a new language, which we've been, giving over the last many months. And so when we are learning this, it can seem a little awkward. We kind of get stuck in translation, but really, the principles that we're speaking of are true always. The truth is true always. They work in all circumstances. These keys can be applied to everything in our lives. But the main goal in our teaching is our quote unquote salvation, our divine realization of our identity, and awakening. And so that is the primary goal. And these keys carry us along that path. And they also assist us in navigating this world and assist us in being able to kind of self-actualize, why we're here, to remember who we are, what we are, and how and why we serve, in the unique capacity that you serve, that I serve. And it begins with, following that first key of desire. And I don't want to go through all of the keys tonight. I don't think that
you're going to be talking about that next Sunday. You're going to start some of that.
Yes, I'm going to start some of that on Sunday. But is there anything lingering? I can tell there's something more you want to say.
While you're speaking, I was just getting the vision. So what is the practicality?
Yes,
of
I think
this
that's
teaching?
important.
Okay, so you got the keys to the kingdom. Maybe I like the jail, and I even use the metaphor that the prisoner doesn't want to leave the jail because he's comfortable. He's gotten acclimated to that environment, and it's fearful to even leave.
Absolutely, because he's been conditioned to that environment. Right.
But in our life, in the dualistic world of illusion that we're experiencing as a human form or the personality ego self, right? We can go to. Here's another vision that I was getting was, imagine that you've somebody got tossed you into a river, right, and you're flowing downstream, and you're desperate to get out, and you're clinging and scratching at the banks and looking for some way to escape it, right, or you're afraid of drowning, right, and that's sometimes I felt that way several times in this life. There were times in my life when I just felt like I was drowning from the circumstances, whether relationally, financially, emotionally, whatever it might be. The point is, this teaching helps you get to the point where you begin to understand these keys, help you get to the point you begin to understand, oh, wait a minute, you don't have to worry about it because you've got a life vest on. So now that I've got the life vest on, instead of trying to swim upstream, instead of trying to worry about drowning and all that, I can begin to relax and allow the stream to take me. And then I can just relax and go with the flow. And that's one of the most practical applications of these principles and these 4 keys, that we can begin to relax in our life and let things be as they are, rather than always trying to move the chairs around, so to speak, or scratching and clawing at the banks of the river, or struggling to swim upstream.
Right.
We can just lay back, know that we are embraced with this beautiful life vest, which is the love of God, and just enjoy the ride.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I would even say, as you're speaking, that's exactly what we're really being intentional about in our lives.
Yes.
We're really in a state of following these keys in our lives as we are creating, this community, as we are allowing our lives to be created through us and as us. And it is so much more joyful, I've just got to tell you, that even in the midst of the cloudedness of the circumstances of life that still, swirl around us, that we can see that the clouds are not solid, that we can actually move through them, not around them, but through them. And that as we commit to this, it's as if we rise above. And that's really what we're doing. And there is a lightness and a levity and an ease and a grace in that.
Absolutely.
And so really that's what our highest hope is in our lives, and for those who are our mighty companions, that this will be a gift for you in your life during this particular juncture in your experience of it.
We know that's true because so many of us are already living it now, because we've been blessed and gifted with his teaching. And it's coming from, this is a teaching of Jesus. This is coming through. So there are 4 keys: desire, intention, allowance, and surrender. We talk about those, and we're going to be talking about those.
Yes.
So I'm assuming I shouldn't assume anything.
Well, it's okay.
What are you going to be
I will
about?
allow it.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'm going to surrender to that.
Yeah. You'll just have to tune in on Sunday.
Okay.
I have a thought that it is, or a message that is brewing.
Okay.
We might move a little bit slower than we have previously because there's so much to unpack with this. And you gave such a great overview, which I think is helpful. So we know the whole. We know all the keys, and now we're going to just begin to chew on this and unpack it over the next several weeks. And I'm excited about that. I think we'll probably conclude this part of it right around Easter. So awesome. Actually, that's only in a couple more weeks. So.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll get there that fast.
Yeah, we may not get there that fast.
But that's okay.
That's okay.
No hurry, no worry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's the beautiful
because
thing.
We're going in the flow, right?
Right. So
thank you so much for joining us. Is there anything else that you wanted to say?
Wonderful. Thank you for being with us, hanging out with us.
We appreciate you, your time, and we look forward to having a conversation with you. We hope that you are able to join us this week or next or anytime in the future.
Or tonight.
That's what I said.
I was going to say. Oh, you did.
Didn't I?
I don't know.
I don't know. We'll rewind and we'll let you know. Anyway, thank you so much. We love you, and we're so very grateful for you. And we'll see you soon.
See you soon.
Thank you.
Have a great night. Bye-bye.